Hey guys, Levelcap here, and today in gaming, Battlefield 6 leaks are in the headlines again. Apex Legends is getting a new hero, Rainbow Six Quarantine launch date isn't confirmed after all, and much more. Tom Henderson is in the Battlefield leak headlines again thanks to a new video in which he makes some bold claims about DICE's upcoming entry in the franchise. And before I get into this leak, let me just be absolutely clear, Tom has been saying stuff like this for over a year. Everything he's saying should be taken with a grain of salt because it mostly seems like educated guesses based on prior leaks or rumors. Treat this as pure speculation until DICE says otherwise. With that laid out of the way, the first bit of leak info is that Battlefield 6 will be a soft reboot of the franchise based on Battlefield 3. The maps are being built to support 128 players. While that's a big step up from Battlefield's typical 64-player modes, 32v32 will still be available. Tom alleges that the game will either be called Battlefield 6 or just Battlefield. Other info includes a Battle Royale mode. As for launch platforms, PC, next-gen, and last-gen consoles will all be supported. Early last year, rumors were flying around that Battlefield 5 was rushed out because DICE were working on a Bad Company 3 game that fell through during development. Ever since that rumor broke, people have speculated that DICE are doing a remake or remaster of Battlefield 3. Tom's video puts that rumor to bed, ruling out a direct remaster of the now classic game. So should you take any of what Tom is saying as a possibility? Yes, EA and DICE have said this year's Battlefield game will be bigger than any past game in the franchise. And despite failing to capture an audience, Firestorm could have easily become a standout Battle Royale mode if reintroduced as a free-to-play mode. As for the modern/Battlefield 3 setting, we're pretty sure the next Battlefield game will be in a modern era. The big Battlefield 5 Easter egg added with the game's final update hinted at a possible location in Kazakhstan, and this location was featured in Battlefield 2. Now, to be honest about my opinions on Tom's leaks, well, they're probably educated guesses based on stuff that's either obvious or already rumored. There are certainly existing rumors and there's plenty of stuff that potentially backs them up, but I wouldn't take them at face value. And that's true for anyone leaking anything about Battlefield. Data miners tore Battlefield 5 to pieces looking for any scrap of info about the upcoming content, and all they really managed to do was hype people up for stuff DICE never intended anyone to see. There's also been plenty of leaks that DICE initiated themselves that never actually came to fruition. Some people might remember the Battlefield 2142 drone hovering around in that Battlefield 3 map. Well, DICE put that in there, but we haven't seen anything of a Battlefield 2142 reboot. As with any leaks or rumors, they are fun to get into, but time is really the only thing we can really rely on to tell us if they're true or not. Apex Legends Season 8 is launching on February 2nd. It adds a new hero called Fuse and introduces yet another massive overhaul of the game's original map, Kings Canyon. Season 8 is called Mayhem, and like the name implies, expect Kings Canyon to get pretty beat up. The update will also add a new gun called the 3030 Repeater. As for Fuse's abilities, there's nothing concrete to go on for now, but the trailer introducing him seems like he's someone that will shrug off a big explosion like it's no big deal. Hitman 3 PC players will apparently be getting all of Hitman 2's levels for free after all. There was some confusion over the weekend as the game's developers published a lengthy FAQ article breaking down what content was included at launch. In that article, they said Hitman 3 players would need to purchase a Hitman 2 Access Pass to import that game's levels. One of the big draws of the recent Hitman games is that you can import both your progress and previous game's levels. Hitman 3 updates all of the first two games' levels with enhanced graphics, so it's been heavily advertised as the complete package for months. The developers are now walking back that whole Access Pass nonsense and say that all players who already own the first two games will be able to import their levels into 3 at no additional cost. And this all became an issue because Hitman 3 is an Epic Store exclusive and Hitman 2 currently isn't available on that platform. Players can expect the issue to be resolved in the next few weeks, which is kind of frustrating considering the game launches in just 2 days. The Hitman 1 Game of the Year Pass is free on PC, so even if you don't own the game, you can still get all of its levels in Hitman 3 for free. Remedy's third-person sci-fi hit Control is finally available on Xbox Game Pass. This follows months of speculation after Xbox head Phil Spencer said the game would be coming to Game Pass, but the developers said it wasn't. Control will be added to Game Pass on the 21st. It'll be available for both PC and console subscribers. There's been some frustration about the game's next-gen upgrade, essentially requiring you to rebuy the game. So if you are looking to dive in, doing so via Game Pass seems like the smart move. The first wave of mini ITX NVIDIA 30 series GPUs is on its way. MSI, Palette, and Gainward are all launching the RTX 3060s in the ultra-compact form factor next month. NVIDIA just revealed the RTX 3060 during CES last week. No first-party edition of the card will be available at launch, so it's all on these third-party vendors to meet demand. While the RTX GPUs are pretty large compared to last-gen hardware, the actual PCB for the GPUs are tiny. Most of the bulk of an RTX 3080 or even 3090 comes from the massive coolers bolted onto the PCB. So mini ITX GPUs seemed like an eventuality. The real question will be performance. The RTX 3060 is a sub 200 watt GPU, so it probably doesn't need a ton of cooling, but the bigger GPUs operate at well over 200 watts, so I don't think we'll be seeing a mini ITX 3080 outside of water cooling cards anytime soon. The RTX 3060 has an MSRP of $329, but good luck finding one at that price. Intel have given up on their super-fast Optane storage system for the consumer market. While they're rolling out new, larger capacity Optane storage for servers and business this year, the consumer market won't get anything. What makes Optane unique is that it's basically a RAM disk that caches your frequently used files smashed together with a super-fast SSD. Now, as for why Intel is canning Optane for the consumer market, I think it's pretty obvious. The biggest capacity Optane drive you could buy was 1.5 terabytes, and it cost nearly $2,300. Compared to PCIe Gen 4 SSDs that already achieve speed so absurd you'll never see the benefit, Optane was way too expensive and way too limited for most consumers to have real use for. However, in high-end server applications where you're running a bunch of VMs with shared storage or something, it does actually make a lot of sense. Unfortunately for Rainbow Six Siege fans, it looks like Quarantine isn't coming out in March after all. Ubisoft's official website previously listed the game with a March 21st launch date. Ubisoft have since clarified that the date is a mistake. The game was previously delayed last year for, well, obvious reasons, but it's scheduled to launch sometime in Ubisoft's 2021 to 2022 fiscal year, which is from April 1st, 2021 to March 31st, 2022. Rainbow Six Quarantine is a 3-player co-op survival shooter that expands on Rainbow Six Siege's Outbreak event mode from 2018. While it drew a mixed reaction from players, there's a clear interest in a more fleshed out mode or game. Before we get to our final story today, I just wanted to thank everybody for subscribing to this channel, and if you haven't already, hit that sub button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future news stories. In our final story today, Stalker 2 will feature some cutting-edge visuals. The game recently got a new teaser, and the devs have since confirmed a few details. It'll support a native 4K output and ray tracing on both PC and the Xbox Series X. It'll also be available on Xbox Game Pass at launch. Details for Stalker 2 are pretty scarce. Based on the trailers, it seems like you can expect some familiar sights from the original game, but beyond that, there's no real story or character info. The game is due out this year. And that wraps it up for today in gaming. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is Levelcap signing off.